What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with some more fantasy football content. Today, I'm talking about the NFL draft, biggest winners and losers for fantasy football. Doesn't mean that these guys are necessarily busts or necessarily slam dunks for next year's drafts, but it means that their draft position and their overall fantasy outlook for this upcoming season has changed drastically from the results of the NFL draft. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Posted my Dynasty rookie rankings video. Even if you're not a Dynasty player, it's still good to check that out, as well as a bunch of regular redraft content. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you have any questions or comments. Leave them in the comment section down below. Really helps out the video. Okay, so let's start off with the losers, just so we can end with the winners. Bad news first. Starting off, one of my biggest losers from this whole draft is definitely James Conner. And the reason being in the pick number 66, Trey Benson out of Florida State. Great 40 time out of him as well. 4 threes, good weight for him as well. Productive at Florida State. And that investment in the draft capital. James Conner was fantastic for fantasy football last year, largely in part to having the entire role to himself. I don't see that being the case this year. I do see Trey Benson eventually overtaking him as the starting running back for the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe not this year, but he'll definitely eat up into that workload enough that he'll change his draft positioning for sure. This definitely pushes James Conner drastically down my boards, and before this, he was definitely a target for me. So just something to keep in mind. I do think his draft position will reflect that, though. Next up, two guys. We're going to zoom up to the top of the draft again. So when the Rome Odunze went at 9 to the Chicago Bears, I think one of the biggest losers was Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, both of them. They went from being, two stud receivers in their own rights to now having to split it with an extremely talented rookie with a top 10 selection that Caleb Williams liked. I just think it takes a lot away from them. I think they both could have easily gone for 1,000 yards before this. Now I think, we're just an expectation. Maybe one of these receivers goes for 1,000-something yards and probably not a whole lot more. And then the rest of them are, slightly under, but slightly under for fantasy football. 800, 900 yards is just not what you're looking for. Solid rookie season for Rome Odunze, but he could be the guy that has 1,000 yards this year. And DJ Moore and Keenan Allen could be looking from the outside in. So this definitely pushes these guys down my boards. They're definitely, I don't even know if I would I'm not taking them in the top half of the wide receiver twos, that's for sure. They'd both be lower than wide receiver 18 for me, for sure. Another loser for me is Josh Jacobs. The Packers took MarShawn Lloyd, the running back from USC. Good chance of them adding a running back coming into this, but a back as talented as MarShawn Lloyd is, averaging over 7 yards a carry this last year, being a big back, ran a good 40 time, can catch the ball as well. Just checks a lot of boxes that you're looking for in a running back, and the fact that Green Bay selected him, I think he's definitely going to spell Josh Jacobs. And it's not, it doesn't tank Josh Jacobs necessarily, but moves him from an early second-round pick to me to more of a back of the second, early third. So moves him about a whole round in draft position, especially those early rounds, is massive. So it does push Josh Jacobs down. I think he can still be good, but the team could potentially be moving on from him in the not-so-distant future with that contract situation and a pick like this on a guy as talented as MarShawn Lloyd. Okay, another guy we are going to talk about is Blake Corum, Kyren Williams. Kyren thrived last year because of an unseen workload. It was crazy with the percentage of snaps he was playing. I want to say 92%. He was averaging for a bunch of those games and finishes basically the RB2. Because of it, his points per game was extremely high. He missed 5 contests, but still finished so high in the fantasy finish and points per game. But Kyren, a lot of that was because he was on the field just constantly. He had a good year. I still expected him to be the starter, but another guy that I was, comfortable drafting with the 7th pick probably before this, or right around 7, 8, somewhere in that range. Taking Kyren Williams before the Blake Corum selection. Now, with the talent that Corum has and the draft capital that was spent on him, it's a 3rd-round pick. It's not extremely high, but still enough for me. In the modern NFL, the way that running backs are drafted, I think he was 3rd off the board, to push Kyren Williams down. I view him as a back of the 2nd round pick as well. But yeah, I just think that the investment that these teams are making suggests that, they are going to limit these guys or, insure them at the very least. But I just think it takes away from those crazy ceilings we hope some of these players had. So now let's do something a little bit more fun. Let's talk about our winners. So one guy I want to mention right away is Rico Dowdle, and the reason is the Dallas Cowboys did not select a running back. They went out and signed Ezekiel Elliott. I think Rico Dowdle is a better running back than him, and I think they'll at least split. So I think that's a really good for him, where you can draft him if you have him in dynasty, things like that. I would not be surprised if all of Zeke is the starter, but either way, I think Rico Dowdle is going to get a lot of work this year, a lot more than he got last year, and he showed some signs of being a good back last year. But we talked about the Packers taking a running back. It's shocking to me that Dallas left the draft without taking somebody. Jalen Wright got to the fourth round. That would have been a great target for them to select, but they declined. So yeah, that's something to think about. Another guy I'll throw out there just real quick, Joe Burrow, with taking some offensive line help and getting Jermaine Burton as well. That was some solid additions. Anthony Richardson got some offensive line help as well as a Donnie Mitchell. Those are both really going to help him, I think, moving forward. Another guy I'll throw out there that trying to take that next leap up into that tier of real franchise elite quarterbacks. Well, not even elite, but just get that tier of franchise quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, that Brian Thomas selection. I think that will bode really well for him. Brian Thomas was taken at 23 overall. And yeah, like you said, 17 touchdowns this last year in a 4.33 at 6'3". Just a really good receiver, a little bit raw, but still his upside is just so extremely high. Patrick Mahomes, not that he needed any help, but wasn't the season everyone hoped for in fantasy last year, but had Xavier Worthy and some offensive line help as well. Another guy that I think benefited greatly from the draft. Zamir White, running back for the Raiders. Another guy. They don't go out there. They take a running back, I believe, but I think he was late. No major commitments. I think Zamir White is going to be the starter there. And yeah, I just think it bodes really well for him moving. Another player I'm going to throw out there is Russell Wilson, as well as Najee Harris and Jalen Warren in this upcoming season. Not only do they get Arthur Smith, who's going to be much better than Matt Canada, regardless of whatever he chooses to do this year, and they get some offensive line help. They took Roman Wilson as well. That'll help Russ out, but the offensive line help is going to help everybody. Russ, those backs, and just that all play-action scheme work. So I think those are some underrated improvements. Another one guy I'll throw out there, Aaron Rodgers. Another guy, offensive line help with the tackle from Penn State, Fashanu. Not sure if I'm saying his name right. Olu Fashanu. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing that. But anyway, you get the idea. And then Malachi Corley later in the draft, a talented receiver. So some options there. A lot of quarterbacks, situations got improved. So really a lot shook out from the NFL draft. Just want to give you guys a quick recap and talk the winners. Just to go over the list again, it's Burrow, Rico Dowdle, Anthony Richardson, Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes, Zamir White, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren. Those are all my winners. And then my losers, James Conner, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Josh Jacobs, and Kyren Williams. If you guys have not already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.